It's not that manifestation doesn't work for you. It's that you've been manifesting too slowly because you're still trying to become what you already are. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will collapse everything you thought you knew about creating your reality. You've been taught that manifestation is a journey, that you need to visualize, affirm, align, and wait. That somewhere between your desire and your reality exists a gap you must cross with patience, persistence, and perfect vibration. You've been told that the universe needs time to rearrange itself, that you must allow things to unfold in divine timing. But here's the truth: they never told you. Time is the illusion. The gap is the illusion. The waiting is the illusion. And every single moment you spend trying to manifest something out there in your future, you're actually pushing it further away. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because the very act of reaching forward in time creates the experience of distance. You are not broken. Your desires are not delayed. The universe is not testing you. You've simply been operating from a paradigm that treats manifestation like a transaction instead of a transmission. Think about it. How many times have you set an intention, visualized your dream life, written in your journal, raised your frequency, and then waited? How many mornings have you woken up checking for signs, scanning your reality for evidence, wondering when it will finally arrive? That feeling, that constant monitoring, that subtle anxiety dressed up as hopeful anticipation, that's not manifestation. That's separation consciousness. And separation consciousness always experiences time as a delay. The reason your manifestations feel slow isn't because you lack faith or because you're not spiritual enough. It's because you're still operating from the belief that there's a version of you in the future who has what you want, and you need to become that person. But quantum manifestation works differently. It doesn't ask you to become, it asks you to remember. Because the version of you that already has everything you desire, that version isn't waiting in some distant timeline. It's folded into this exact moment, right now, humming beneath your skin, breathing in your chest, living in the space between your thoughts. You don't need to reach it. You need to recognize it. And the moment you do, the moment you stop trying to manifest and start being the frequency of your fulfilled desire, reality doesn't gradually shift. It snaps into place. Instantly, effortlessly, because you've stopped creating distance with your mind. This isn't about positive thinking. This isn't about vision boards or scripting or any external technique. This is about frequency collapse. This is about quantum coherence. This is about understanding that you are not attracting your reality. You are selecting it. And selection happens faster than light. So, if you've been waiting, stop. If you've been trying, stop. If you've been working to become someone you think you need to be, stop. Because I'm about to show you how to collapse the timeline, dissolve the gap, and step into the version of reality where everything you want already exists. Not someday, not eventually, but now. Let me expose the subtle trap that's been keeping you locked in the waiting room of your own life. They told you to visualize your dream life. And you did. You closed your eyes and saw yourself in that house, with that partner, living that freedom, embodying that success. You felt the emotions. You smiled at the vision. You even cried tears of gratitude for what was coming. But here's what they didn't tell you. Every time you visualize something as not here yet, you're encoding lack into your nervous system. Think about it. When you sit down to visualize, what are you really doing? You're creating a mental movie of a future moment and feeling into it as if it's distant. You're essentially telling your subconscious, this is what I want, but I don't have it now. And your subconscious doesn't argue. It just says, understood. We're in the reality where this hasn't happened yet. Let me continue generating evidence of that. The same thing happens with affirmations. You stand in the mirror and say, I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am living my dream life. And beneath those words, your body tightens. Your breath shortens. Your heart whispers, but I'm not though. You think you're reprogramming your mind, but what you're actually doing is highlighting the gap. You're reminding yourself over and over again that you're trying to become something you currently are not. This is the hidden lie. The effort to manifest is what creates the delay. Because every technique you've learned, visualization, affirmations, gratitude journaling, scripting, was designed to help you move toward your desire. But movement implies distance, and distance implies time, and time implies waiting. So you end up in this exhausting loop. You set the intention. You do the practice. You feel good for a moment. Then you open your eyes and check. Is it here yet? It's not. So you go back to the practice, trying harder, affirming louder, visualizing clearer, and the cycle continues. And with every cycle, you're reinforcing the same frequency. I am someone who is trying to get something I don't have. The universe doesn't hear your words. It doesn't see your vision board. It reads your frequency. And if your frequency is broadcasting effort, waiting, becoming, hoping, then that's the reality it reflects back to you. Not because it's punishing you, but because it's matching you. Here's the most painful part. The more spiritual you become, the more techniques you learn, the more deeply you can fall into this trap. You start using all the right language. You talk about alignment and surrendering and trusting divine timing. But beneath the spiritual vocabulary, you're still waiting. You're still checking. You're still split between the version of you that's here and the version you're trying to reach. And that split, that internal division, is what creates the experience of time. Let me say that again, because this is the key. Time is not something that happens to you. Time is something you generate with your attention. When you're fully present, when you're not reaching forward or clinging backward, time dissolves. You've felt this before, in moments of flow, in moments of deep love, in moments of pure presence. Time becomes irrelevant because you're not separate from the moment. But the moment you start manifesting towards something, you fragment yourself. You split your energy between now and later. And that split is what makes manifestation feel slow, hard, and uncertain. This is why people can do everything right and still feel stuck. This is why you can have a perfect morning routine, a high vibration, a clear vision, and still wake up in the same circumstances month after month. Because you're still manifesting from separation. You're still treating your desire like it's outside of you, separate from you, waiting for you to finally be good enough, aligned enough, or worthy enough to receive it. But that's not how quantum reality works. In quantum physics, the observer doesn't attract the particle. The observer collapses the wave function. The act of observation, of choosing, of selecting, brings one possibility into form out of infinite potential. You are not trying to attract your desire. You are collapsing into the timeline where it already exists. And that doesn't happen through effort. It happens through coherence. When your mind, body, and energy are no longer split between here and there, when you stop broadcasting the frequency of becoming and start embodying the frequency of being, reality doesn't take time to shift. It shifts instantly because you're no longer creating distance. You're no longer generating delay. You're no longer waiting for permission from a future moment. You're simply here, fully, completely, as the version of you for whom this desire is not a dream, it's a done deal. Now let me show you what changes when you stop trying to manifest and start being the frequency. Reality doesn't respond to effort. It responds to coherence. Coherence is when your thoughts, emotions, body, and energy are all broadcasting the same signal. Not a split signal. Not a conflicted signal. Not "I want this, but I'm scared I won't get it." Not "I'm worthy, but my bank account says otherwise." Pure, unified, coherence. And here's the truth that will set you free. Your future doesn't wait ahead of you. It's folding back into this moment, right now. Let me explain. In linear time, you imagine your life as a timeline stretching forward. Past behind you, present here, future ahead. And you think manifestation is about moving along that line, walking from where you are toward where you want to be. But quantum mechanics reveals something radically different. All possibilities exist simultaneously. Every version of your life, every timeline, every outcome, every reality is already present in the quantum field. Not as potential. Not as someday, but as now. The version of you living in abundance exists now. The version of you in perfect health exists now. The version of you living your soul's purpose exists now. These aren't futures you need to create. They're frequencies you need to match. Think of reality like a radio. There are infinite stations broadcasting simultaneously. You're not creating the music. You're tuning into the station. And the dial you turn isn't made of effort or action or time. The dial is your frequency. When your frequency, your internal state, your energetic signature, matches the frequency of a particular reality, you don't attract it. You become it. You collapse into that timeline. You step into that version of the multiverse. This is why manifestation can feel instant for some people and impossible for others. It's not about worthiness. It's not about karma. It's not about how much you've suffered or how many techniques you know. It's about frequency coherence. When someone manifests something out of nowhere, they didn't do more. They stopped splitting their energy. They stopped double-checking. They stopped waiting. Even if just for a moment, they existed in complete coherence with their desire, not as something they wanted, but as something they were. And reality snapped to match. This is the paradigm shift. Manifestation is not about becoming. It's about selecting. You're not climbing toward a better version of yourself. You're choosing which version of yourself to embody right now. Every moment, you're standing at a quantum crossroads. Infinite versions of reality branching out in every direction. And your frequency, the sum total of your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and bodily states, determines which branch you experience. Most people don't realize they're choosing. They think reality is happening to them. They think circumstances are fixed. They think change takes time. But you are not a passive observer. You are the observer who collapses the wave. And the moment you stop observing from lack, from I want, from I hope, from when will it happen, and start observing from fulfillment, from completion, from the settled knowing that it's already done, that's when everything changes. Not gradually. Not eventually. Not after you've earned it or proven yourself or waited long enough. Immediately. Because in that moment of coherence, you're no longer projecting your desire into a future timeline. You're embodying the frequency of the timeline where it already exists. And when you do that, you don't travel to that timeline. You collapse into it. This is quantum manifestation. Not the slow, effortful, please universe, give me what I want kind of manifesting, but the instantaneous, inevitable, frequency-based kind. The kind where you don't ask for things, you remember them. You don't wait for change, you are the change. Your external reality is not the cause of your internal state. Your internal state is the cause of your external reality. And when you finally, fully understand that, when you stop giving your power to circumstances, to time, to other people's beliefs, to your past patterns, when you reclaim the authority of your own frequency, you become the most powerful force in your universe. But here's where most people get tripped up. They understand this intellectually. They nod along. They think, yes, I get it. Frequency, coherence, quantum field. Got it. And then they go back to living in their body like nothing's changed. So let's bring this down from the mind and into the body. Because your body is not separate from your manifestation. Your body is the antenna. Right now, as you're listening to this, pause. Feel your body. Notice your breath. Is it shallow? Held? Rushed? That's the breath of someone waiting for something to arrive. That's the breath of someone still living in the gap. Notice your shoulders. Are they tight? Lifted toward your ears? That's the body of someone carrying the weight of uncertainty. That's the posture of, I hope this works. Notice your chest. Is it open? Relaxed? Or is there a subtle clenching, a protective armor around your heart that whispers, don't get too excited, you've been disappointed before. Your body is telling the truth your mind tries to hide. You can say all the affirmations you want. You can visualize for hours. You can write 100 pages in your manifestation journal. But if your body is still vibrating at the frequency of lack, of fear, of waiting, that's the signal the universe receives. Because your body doesn't lie. It doesn't perform spirituality. It doesn't pretend to believe something it doesn't feel. Your nervous system is either in a state of safety and fulfillment, or it's in a state of survival and seeking. And you cannot manifest from a nervous system that's constantly scanning for threats, constantly braced for disappointment, constantly preparing for things to go wrong. This is why embodiment is everything. Quantum manifestation isn't just a mental shift. It's a somatic shift. It's teaching your body what certainty feels like. Not hope. Not wishful thinking. Certainty. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine, really imagine, that the thing you desire is already done. Not coming. Not on its way. Done. How does your body respond to that? Does your breath deepen? Do your shoulders drop? Does your chest open? Does a subtle smile appear on your face? Does your whole system exhale in relief? That's the frequency. That's the stake. That's the version of you who already lives in that reality. And here's the secret. You don't need the external thing to feel that way. You can choose to feel that way right now. Not as a trick, not as a technique, but as a truth. Because if that reality already exists in the quantum field, and it does, then the version of you living that reality is already feeling this way, right now. And when you consciously choose to match that frequency, you're not pretending. You're aligning. This is the embodiment practice that changes everything. Stop trying to feel good to attract what you want. Start feeling the way you would feel if you already had it, not as a future projection, as a present reality. When you wake up in the morning, before your mind starts running its familiar loops of worry and planning, drop into your body. Ask yourself, how does the version of me who's already living my dream life wake up? Do they rush? Do they stress? Do they frantically check their phone for validation? Or do they stretch slowly, breathe deeply, smile softly, and move through their morning with the calm certainty of someone who knows everything is already taken care of? Embody that. When you're going through your day, notice the moments when your body contracts, when you see something that triggers lack, when you compare yourself to others, when you feel the familiar pang of, I'm not there yet. In those moments, pause, breathe, and consciously choose to return to the frequency of fulfillment. Not by forcing positivity, not by denying what you feel, but by asking, What would the version of me who already has this be feeling right now? And then letting your body remember. Because your body knows. It's been there before. In moments of deep peace. In moments of unexpected joy. In moments when everything felt easy and aligned. You're not creating a new feeling. You're remembering the frequency you've always had access to. And the more you practice this, the more you teach your body to rest in the state of fulfillment rather than reaching for it, the faster your external reality shifts, because you're no longer sending mixed signals. You're no longer broadcasting, "I want this, but I don't have it." You're broadcasting, "This is who I am. This is my reality. This is done." And when that signal becomes consistent, when it becomes your baseline, when your body and your energy and your thoughts are all coherent, the universe has no choice but to match you. Let me ground this in something that might help your logical mind relax into the truth of what I'm saying. In quantum physics, there's a principle called the observer effect. It's been proven over and over again in laboratory experiments. When scientists observe a quantum particle, the act of observation literally changes the behavior of that particle. Before observation, it exists as a wave of potential, infinite possibilities. But the moment it's observed, it collapses into a single, specific reality. The observer doesn't discover reality. The observer creates it. Now, apply that to your life. You are the observer. Your life is the quantum field. And every moment, you're collapsing infinite potential into a specific experience based on what you're observing from. If you're observing from lack, if you're constantly looking at what's not working, what's missing, what's wrong, you're collapsing the wave function into more of that. If you're observing from fear, if you're scanning for problems, bracing for disappointment, protecting yourself from future pain, you're collapsing the wave function into experiences that confirm those fears. But if you observe from fulfillment, from completion, from the quiet knowing that everything you desire is already yours in the quantum field, then that's what collapses into form. You are not a passive participant in reality. You are the consciousness that collapses the wave. And here's the part that makes this even more powerful. Your frequency determines the speed of collapse. When your frequency is stable, coherent, and unwavering, when you're not oscillating between belief and doubt, hope and fear, the collapse happens faster, much faster. Think of it like tuning into a radio station. If you keep turning the dial back and forth, the signal stays fuzzy. But the moment you lock in, the music comes through clear and immediate. Most people are constantly turning the dial. They believe in their manifestation one moment, then doubt it the next. They feel aligned in the morning, then spiral into lack by afternoon. They affirm their desires, then immediately check their reality to see if it's working. That's a noisy signal. And a noisy signal takes time to collapse into form. But when you stabilize, when your inner frequency becomes consistent, when you stop oscillating, when you stop checking and doubting and second-guessing, the collapse is instantaneous. This is why some people can manifest things overnight. This is why synchronicities start flooding in. This is why reality seems to bend around certain people. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's not special favor from the universe. It's quantum coherence, and you have access to it right now. Every time you return to the frequency of your fulfilled desire, you're not climbing a ladder. You're not inching closer. You're collapsing the timeline. Every time you choose to embody the version of you for whom this is already done, you're not waiting for reality to catch up. You're selecting the reality where it's already happened. This is the science behind the spirituality. This is the mechanics behind the magic. You are not attracting your reality. You are selecting it. And selection doesn't take time. It takes coherence. Now it's time to anchor this truth into your being, not just as a concept, not just as something you understand, but as something you declare. Because declaration is an act of power. When you declare something out loud, you're not asking. You're not hoping. You're not wondering if it's possible. You're collapsing the wave function with your voice. So right now, I want you to say this out loud if you can, or type it in the comments, or write it down where you can see it every day. Speed is a state of being. Say it again. Feel it in your chest. I am the frequency of my desire. Let that land. Let your body hear it. It's already mine. Not coming. Not on its way. Not if I do everything right. Already. Mine. Because it is. In the quantum field, in the space of infinite possibility, the version of reality where you already have everything you desire exists right now. And the moment you stop treating it like a future event and start claiming it as a present truth, that's when it collapses into your experience. This is not wishful thinking. This is not toxic positivity. This is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. Your declaration is not trying to convince the universe. Your declaration is informing your nervous system. When you say, "It's already mine," with full conviction, your body relaxes. Your breath deepens. Your frequency stabilizes. And in that stabilization, you become a match for the reality you're claiming. So don't just read these words. Don't just nod along. Declare them. Speak them into existence. Let your voice carry the frequency of certainty. Let your body feel the truth of what you're saying. Because manifestation is not a passive process. It's an active selection. And every time you declare your reality, you're collapsing the wave function. You're choosing the timeline. You're stepping into the version of you who already lives this truth. So, say it now. I am not becoming. I am remembering. I am not attracting. I am selecting. I am not waiting. I am here. And watch how reality bends to meet you. Here's the final truth that will set you free. The moment you stop waiting, life stops taking time. You've been living as if your desires are distant, as if fulfillment is a destination you need to reach through effort and patience. But fulfillment was never ahead of you. It's been here all along, buried beneath the layers of seeking, beneath the stories of not enough, beneath the belief that you need to earn or become or prove something before you're allowed to live the life you came here to experience. But you were never separate from it. Not for a single second. Every desire you've ever had was life itself, speaking through you, calling you back to what was always true. You are not seeking. You are remembering. And the moment you relax into that, the moment you stop the frantic searching, the desperate trying, the exhausting effort to become someone you think you're not, that's when everything shifts. Not because you finally did it right, not because the universe finally decided to reward you, but because you stopped creating the illusion of distance. You stopped living in the gap between here and there, between now and someday. You stopped treating your life like a problem to solve and started recognizing it as a frequency to embody. And when you do that, when you let your body rest in the certainty of your desires being already fulfilled, when you let your mind quiet into the present moment, when you stop oscillating and start stabilizing, reality doesn't resist you anymore. It rushes to meet you. It mirrors you. It becomes you. Because that's what reality does. It matches. It reflects. It responds to the frequency you're broadcasting with absolute precision. And when your frequency is no longer split, no longer conflicted, no longer reaching and grasping and hoping, when your frequency is simply here, fully alive, completely present, then this moment, right now, becomes the manifestation, not the beginning of the journey. not the preparation phase, not the waiting room before the real life starts. This, right here, this is it. This is the reality you've been trying to reach. This is the moment you've been waiting for. This is the version of you that you thought you needed to become. You're already here. And the life you desire? It's not ahead of you. It's folded into this breath. It's humming in your cells. It's present in the stillness between your thoughts. You just have to stop looking past it. Stop looking for evidence. Stop checking the 3D. Stop waiting for external validation that you're finally good enough, aligned enough, worthy enough. You already are. And the moment you know that, not as a belief, not as a hope, but as a lived, embodied, unshakable truth, everything you've been reaching for will simply appear. Not because you finally figured out the right technique, not because you earned it, or manifested it, or attracted it, but because you stopped being separate from it. You stopped existing in the frequency of becoming and dropped into the frequency of being. And being doesn't take time. Being is instantaneous. Being is now. This, right here, is the manifestation. Welcome home.